Okay, astrology update. Let's talk about Mercury retrograde. Mercury being retrograde. Right now, Mercury is in the sign of Pisces and it is currently retrograde. And let's unpack some things. So we have had Mercury in its pre-shadow period, its pre-shadow phase, since the start of February. And so that's something to be aware of because you're going to want to look at what you've been moving through since the beginning of February, what topics are coming up for you, what situations, what experiences are moving into your awareness. Just seeing if you can notice some type of like cycle or pattern with the things that are moving into your life that are needing you to tend to them, to acknowledge them, because this is kind of like the precursor of the material that you're going to be working with throughout Mercury retrograde. And to just talk about whenever Mercury goes retrograde in the sky, before everyone starts to freak out about it, I would invite you to look at your birth chart. I think this is, the most important thing to see if you were born with Mercury retrograde, because if you were born at the time of Mercury being retrograde in the sky, then whenever there's a Mercury retrograde, it's going to be a more comfortable time for you because that's the natural energy that you were born under. So instead of Mercury retrogrades bringing confusion and and it being hard to like understand your thoughts or not having much clarity, if you were born with this energy, then that time period it's going back to the natural energy that you were born with, right? So it's going to bring you more clarity, and you're going to move through that retrograde much differently than people that weren't born with that energy. So that's something to be aware of. If retrogrades aren't usually a thing for you, they don't bother you, or maybe you find yourself thinking more clearly during that time, being able to articulate yourself better during that time, that might be something to look for in your chart. You can book a reading with me, or you can pull it up online for free to see if you were born with that energy. So that's one thing. Another thing is Mercury retrograde is not a time to fear. It's not a time to freak out about. Like, people project so much shit onto retrograde periods, and all that it's inviting us to do is to slow down, right? To slow down and to tend to what we haven't wanted to look at, maybe what we haven't fully processed or digested. It's asking us to take a step back and to revise things, to double check things before you just sign stuff or before you make plans, to like really have all the information to see it all the way through before you decide to do something during these periods of time. But with Mercury being retrograde in Pisces in particular, Mercury is the planet of communication, right? It is how our minds work, how we communicate, our ability to process our thoughts, to articulate what is going on for us internally, to put words to what it is that we're feeling or thinking. This is Mercury's job in our lives. And in your personal chart, you can look to see where Mercury is in your chart, what sign Mercury's in, and that is going to be like the flavor of how you communicate and how you think about things, how you process your thoughts. So with Mercury being retrograde in Pisces, Pisces rules our subconscious. Pisces rules the past. Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. It's a completion of the cycle, right? It's all the signs before it. Pisces is the 12th sign, the very last sign. So it's like a bringing together of all the energies that came before it, a returning to the oneness that we all come from. That's the high expression of the Pisces energy. It is like unconditional love and forgiveness and acceptance, and just seeing things really through like God's perspective, understanding the interconnectedness of everything. Pisces energy, they can, it's probably the most sensitive sign in the zodiac. It's the last water sign that we have. In Pisces energy, it's very easy for them to absorb the energy around them, or to, because they're super sensitive to the energy around them, so they can easily like pick up other people's shit that isn't necessarily theirs. They can be feeling a lot of things and not really understand why or where it's coming from. And so this retrograde is asking us to slow down, to pause, to tend to our subconscious, to tend to the stuff that is not just beneath the surface. You know, the Scorpio energy is associated with stuff that's like right beneath the surface, but Pisces in the 12th house energy is more about like the mechanisms behind the ways that we do things, like the stuff that is so deeply buried within the subconscious that we're not even really aware that it's there or that it's affecting us. So we're going to go back to the past. We're going to tend to the past to better understand how it is that we're showing up now, and what it is that we need to work through more, that we haven't fully processed or digested, and is still operating underneath the scenes in some way. It's like in our subconscious somewhere, and it's affecting our lives, you know, in a certain area. And you can look at your birth chart. You can look to see where transiting Mercury is in your chart. So you can look to see what house Pisces is falling in your chart. And yeah, if you know how to pull up your chart and you know how to see where Mercury is, you can see where the glyph of Mercury, it's like Venus but with the two antennas up top, which is to be able to receive the information and to be a clear channel for information to flow through, to be connected to source and to let it flow through you, is what yeah, Mercury represents, that glyph. So you can look to see what house Mercury is moving through for you to better understand the area of your life that this is going to be showing up in. So for example, if Mercury is moving through your 4th house, then you're going to be tending to issues within like the home, the family, your roots, your foundation, and you're going to look at maybe like unconscious material that you've picked up. So maybe you've absorbed the emotions of your family or your caregivers, and now that's affecting you, you know, today in your adult life. Or you can look, you know, again, with this being, for this example, with it being in the 4th house, you can also look to see how there's been, maybe you've lacked boundaries in this area of your life, as Pisces is a water sign, and boundaries is not their strong suit because they feel everybody's energy so easily. It's hard for them to know like where they stop and where somebody else begins. So yeah, you can look to the area of the house that this is happening in for you to better understand what area of your life it's affecting. But for all of us, it is, yeah, it's a time of slowing down, of pausing, of reviewing, revising information. I think it's helping us to, yeah, to clear up emotional material that we're ready to face at this time, because we've been through so much this year. It feels like, yeah, a year has been condensed into the month of January, and now we're in February. But it just feels like, you know, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is no joke. Intense transformations and change to the foundation of our lives, to like the core of our being. There's been a lot of shifts going on. And so as Mercury is in the last sign of the zodiac, it's about to like complete a cycle in regards to how it is that we communicate and how we process our thoughts, how we digest information, and how we share it, how we like speak our truth and speak, yeah, what is true for us. So it's about to complete a cycle, Mercury, as it's traveled around the whole zodiac. And right before it completes the cycle, it's gone retrograde. So it's like, okay, before we can kind of, yeah, complete this cycle, we're needing to pause, to go inward and to reflect on emotional material, emotional attachments from the past, emotional responses, reactions, triggers, stuff around codependency, around not having boundaries, around maybe even playing the victim, because that is the low road of the Pisces energy, just like, yeah, being the victim and wanting to escape. Reality is too much. They feel too much. It's just too overwhelming. And so then they can, you know, they're prone to addiction, to escapism through different means, because it can be hard for them to process their reality. Because again, it's a sign that's very deeply feeling, but it can be hard for them to put words to what it is that they're feeling, or to even just know what to do with those emotions, because it can be so much. So yeah, for all of us, we're tending to our emotional body. We're being asked to slow down and to reflect on the heart to mind connection, like how we are able to experience emotions, to have emotions move through us, and what it is that we like think about those emotions, or how we attach stories to those emotions, or just what we do with them in general. Maybe there's like thoughts of shame or guilt or fear or whatever that's wrapped around these different emotional experiences that move through us. And so with this retrograde, maybe a lot of different experiences will come into your awareness that is offering you the ability to heal by seeing these different patterns, seeing ways that maybe you've lacked boundaries in the past, ways that you've been codependent, ways that you have taken on other people's energy that wasn't yours, and you've like held on to those beliefs. Ultimately, it's a deep dive into our psyche, right, into our subconscious. And doing hypnosis would be a really great idea during this time period. Obviously, I offer astrology readings, and I do hypnosis with people as well. Whether we go into a past life or we just go into the trance state and speak directly to your subconscious, and ask yourself questions, ask your subconscious questions, and allow it to answer your own questions. But by doing hypnosis and how that's connected with this Mercury retrograde in Pisces, the point of doing hypnosis is to talk your conscious mind to the side, to get your conscious mind out of the way, and to tap into your intuition, to tap into your subconscious, to rewrite and rework those stories that are underneath the scenes that we're not even aware of, that we don't even realize how it affects us in our day-to-day life. And you can access this in many different ways, right? You can meditate on your own, you can do yoga, you can do breath work, you can be in nature, you can be in the flow state through different activities. There's many ways that you can tap into your intuition, you can get into the flow state, you can be connected to source. But hypnosis, I feel, is a super powerful way, because it's really bringing those messages up to the surface, and it is like putting it right in your face. They're being spoken very loudly in a way that you can't deny them. Like your ego, your conscious mind can't deny these messages that are coming through. And this is all the subconscious. This is all stuff that's happening, underneath the scenes. It's our dream state. Pisces is connected to our dreams as well. So notice what's going on in your dreams. It's probably like old people coming back in, maybe ex partners. Mercury retrograde is kind of notorious for being associated with that. But yeah, old people, old experiences, old things moving into your awareness that need your attention, that need you to tend to them in some way, to reach a new level of forgiveness, of acceptance, of understanding for that experience, because that's the high expression of the Pisces energy, right? It's forgiveness, it's unconditional love, it's acceptance, it's seeing things through the eyes of God, being so connected to source that like the interconnectedness of everything, but you're also able to maintain strong boundaries for yourself, and that's not the strong suit of Pisces. So that is something that we're tending to. But yes, focusing on your dreams, noticing the messages that come through there. Tying lots of things together. So to go back to the hypnosis and its connection to Mercury retrograde, with this particular retrograde being more connected to our emotional body than other retrogrades, because it is in the sign of Pisces. And again, Pisces ruling our dream state, Pisces ruling our subconscious, Pisces ruling the past, ruling past lives as well. Just residual energy that's in our psyche that needs tending to, or else it can show up in unhealthy ways and affect us in our day-to-day life, in our adult life. Shit that we haven't tended to from, possibly many years back or many lifetimes ago. So again, hypnosis is helpful to get you in connection with your subconscious, to put these messages right in your face, the things that you already know on a deep level, or that your intuition tells you periodically. Maybe it whispers things to you or tells you little messages, but you can like easily push it away and be like, no, that's not for me, or no, it's not the right time, or that doesn't make sense, or whatever. Just like pushing the intuition, the subconscious to the side. And that's not what we need to do. We need to slow down, and that's what this retrograde is helping us do, right? Slowing down, reviewing, revising things, reflecting on the stuff in our subconscious that needs more tending to. So Yeah, that's why I think hypnosis would be a great thing to do right now. I'm going to hold a group hypnosis for this Pisces new moon that's coming next week. But yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about this Mercury retrograde, retrogrades in general, and yeah, kind of the energy that you can expect to be working with or to be moving through if you're not feeling it already. And yeah, again, just be mindful of what you've been experiencing since the beginning of February, because that's when it was in its pre-shadow period, which is like material starting to come to the surface that needs our attention. We're getting like glimpses into what this Mercury retrograde is going to be about for us personally. And again, it's going to be different based on your unique birth chart. You're going to want to see what house it's moving in your chart, what aspects it's making with the other planets in your chart. But for all of us collectively, we're moving through our connection with our subconscious, with our psyche, with our past, with possibly past lives, with our ability to digest our experiences, to process our emotions, to understand our emotions, to understand what's going on for us internally, to understand where we've picked up other people's energy or we've held on to other people's beliefs that aren't ours. Pisces, again, being, very sensitive to the energy around them, like a psychic sponge, just kind of picking up things that are around them. So we constantly need to be cleansing our emotional body and releasing any energy that we've picked up from other people. And I think with this retrograde, it's a beautiful time to slow down and to reflect and to tend to our internal world, to tend to our subconscious, to tend to those messages that are going on underneath the scenes that we may not be conscious of in our day-to-day experience. But when we slow down long enough, when we meditate, when we go into the hypnosis, when we maybe even in yoga or in different things, we like get these openings, these awarenesses that come through to us, like old material resurfacing that needs to be healed, that needs to be addressed, that needs to be processed. And that's what this retrograde is about, with it being in the last sign of the zodiac, a completion of the cycle. We're tending to some deep things, some deep feelings, some deep emotions that maybe didn't feel safe to look at, or we weren't in a place where we could fully understand them or find like total acceptance or forgiveness for them. But I think now the place that we're at, we've really been we've been like cracked open this year, and just like exposed, raw and vulnerable to the material that we need to address within ourselves to like help us move to the next level. And I think that we are at that place where we're ready to look at it, we are ready to work with it. This, again, Saturn-Pluto conjunction, like the two most powerful planets coming together to just shake everything up from the foundation, like the core of ourselves, the foundation of our lives, shaking everything up that's not in integrity so that we can transform, we can be reborn, we can rebuild like a new world for ourselves, a new life for ourselves, and how we show up emotionally, how we have boundaries, how we protect our energy, how we cleanse energy that we've picked up, how we view situations of the past, how we come to a place of forgiveness and acceptance for things that have happened. That's what is, being worked through with this retrograde. So that's all. I hope that this helps you. I hope that this supports you in some way, better understand the energy that we're moving through, that you could expect to maybe be experiencing with this retrograde period. If you'd like to reach out to me for a reading, you can do so through my site at cosmicguidance.online. Again, I do astrology readings, I do tarot readings, and I do past life regressions, hypnotizing people into a different state, into the trance state, to really just connect with your subconscious is the purpose of that. So I would love to hold space for you in any of those ways. And that's all for now. All right. Thank you for being here.